everybody's having a beautiful Sunday as much as I'm having a beautiful Sunday. Oh my word, like today is just such a beautiful day. Anyway, so as most of you guys may know from my social media pages, this video is about depression. And today, I just want to talk about my own personal journey with depression. And just because you came onto my YouTube channel, Johnny, I'll tell you the whole story, alright? So, as most of you guys may know, I got burned from a candle when I was 11 months old. I was sleeping on the bed and then the candle then fell over. I lost my right hand, 4 fingers on my left, and my face is scarred, as well as the right side of my body. So growing up, I grew up in that era where media had vividly defined what beauty is, right? And now here I am growing up. I'm this young girl, and immediately I'm being excluded from being normal, and that obviously made me feel like, actually, why am I here? I'm not beautiful, I'm a ghost, like they're right. And how that came about also is that I was actually sitting in class and a fellow learner of mine said to me that you're so burned, you look like franchise meat. And I was like, no, wait, what? And that trended to a point where it just like dawned on me to the fact that no, actually he's right. Those negative words that people will continuously say to you and then you end up believing them? Yes, that's exactly what happened in that moment. And I believed him, and that just fed my own negative thoughts, that were already running in my mind already, that were saying, oh, but you're burned, oh my god, but you're scarred, and that just said to me, but you're ugly, why are you here? You don't belong, like you're a ghost, you're not beautiful, you'll never be beautiful. And I think that's how I felt, that but then it means that I'll never amount to this, definition of beauty that the media had now defined for us as people. And it's only much later on in life when I realized that no, but actually nobody will ever define to that beauty, because even models are like photoshopped. Did you know that? Did you know that models are like photoshopped? I don't know that either. I found it much later on, and I was like, but that is what we used to look at and think that that is what beauty is. But anyway, so me feeling like I'm a ghost and I'm not beautiful and I don't belong, it led me to then try to commit suicide 3 times. My very first suicide attempt, I was in grade 5, and I remember I took detergents. I took Handy Andy, sunlight liquid, basically dishwashing liquid, and like yeah, so like detergents to clean the house and also like to wash the dishes. And I took those things and I just like mixed them up, bleach as well, and I drank them. And I remember nothing happened. I was so bored. I was like, why? Like, like what? And then when I was 15 years old again, then I tried to commit suicide again. This time I was with my late brother, and that also didn't work. And then my last suicide attempt, I took 300 pills, wrote a note to my mom, and I said, hi mom, thank you for your love, thank you for your sacrifices, but I just don't want to be here. And then I drank the pills, and a few hours later I woke up. But by the time I got to me saying I don't want to live anymore, my mindset was so negative, to a point where I saw no way out. Like for me, it was like, this is the only way, like die, because what type of life are you gonna have anyway? I mean, like, you have one hand, you've got one finger, like what sort of life will you have? And it's only, and that is what killed me. That is what killed my spirit, my soul, and my mind. And I was living a life that most people were living. Like, a life where you just wake up and you sleep and you wake up and you sleep, and like you just have no purpose, you know, like you have no reason why like you're fighting to live, you know. And I think that is what got me to a point where I knew that I needed salvation. I knew that I needed an answer. I needed somebody to tell me why this happened to me. I mean, I was only 11 months. You know what I'm saying? I needed answers. And for me at that moment, I started seeking them. Because when my last suicide didn't happen, I was like, then why am I here? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you even keeping me here, God? You know what I mean? Like, just let me die. Like, come on. Like, why are you being so evil? You know? And he made me live. And then a friend of mine then said to me that, you know what, so like we went to her house, and then her sister then said, no, at my church there's like a youth conference or something. And I was like, church? No, please don't tell me about church. I don't want to hear anything about church. I was like, I don't want to hear anything about God. Listen, I don't want to hear it, you know. But anyway, like she took us there anyway, because I mean, like we were kids and she was a bully. And anyway, so then like she drove us there and we went to the church. And the youth pastor then said to me, and I remember those words so vividly, and then he said to me that, do you know that everything that happens for a purpose? And I was like, what purpose could me being burnt serve? Like, how is it that I've lived 19 years of my life, you know, miserable and in pain and in agony, and just like questioning my own existence? Like, what purpose could that serve? Like, what purpose could it serve? That everywhere I'm walking, that people are staring at me. What purpose could it serve? That everywhere where I am just trying to be human, people are 100% always just reminding me that no, but like you're not like the rest of us. Like you're not normal. Like what purpose could that serve? And then I read a book by Rick Warren called A Purpose Driven Life Book, and that book changed my life. That book changed my life. Like that book changed my life. Like I don't even want to lie. Like that book basically broke it down, you know, like for me. It broke down what purpose is. It broke down that every single thing, like God is the reason why things happen. And I needed to find out what my purpose was, because then like what is the reason why I'm waking up each and every single day. And I remember I would pray and I would constantly just like bug God, you know, like tell me, like what is my purpose? What's my purpose? You know, and then he eventually told me a few months later that your purpose is to bring hope and healing to my people. And I was in my matric year at this time, grade 12, my last year basically of like high school, for those that are outside of South Africa. And and from that word, I was like, okay, fine. So now, how do I bring hope and healing? But also, how do I then go through my own healing journey? Because I can't be healing people when I myself still broken, you know. And then it dawned on me, because I've always wanted to be in the media. Then I went to the University of Johannesburg, in South Africa, and I studied audiovisual communications, which is basically media, at UJ. And yeah, like then I started working in the media industry. Worked for shows like Making Moves, Three Talk, um, on a channel called One Gospel, on channel 331 on DSTV, and yeah, like a whole lot of other shows like Friends Like These. And that's where I met Sibusiso Liope, known as DJ Spoo in South Africa. And Sibusiso then said to me, hey, I'm also on radio, and I said, oh great, can I shadow you? And then I shadowed Sibusiso. So now remember, now while I'm like finding my way in the media, I'm still going through my healing journey, because healing, it doesn't just happen like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't just happen overnight. Um, so now then we went to radio together after Friends Like These, and then I worked at a radio station called Metro FM, and I was Svisiso's producer, and yeah, and then this one time, then Svisiso says on radio, he says to me, hey guys, my producer, is gonna write a book. And I'm like, what? No, I didn't say that. So before he said that, he had been saying to me that you need to write a book, you need to write a book, So I was just like, write a book? Why must I write a book? And so they're like, yeah. So then that day, then he announces it on radio. So now like people on social media are going crazy. Oh my God, yes, we finally gonna hear the story, and then so now I'm like, write a book. Now people are like, when is the book coming out? I haven't even started with chapter 1. I was just like, I'm not doing like this guy, So yeah, so then I eventually started with my book, because of now everybody was like, where's your book? Where's your book? Where's your book? And then I started writing my book, and that took me 2 years to write it. It wasn't an easy book for me to write, because remember, like I said, I was actually still going through this healing journey. So like for me to write down exactly what happened and how I was feeling, and just having to revisit those emotions again, and where I was at the time when I took those 300 pills, for example, and I was just like, okay, this is it. This is it. I'm going to drink them and I'm going to die. Like, this is it. Like in 4 minutes, 5 minutes from now, I'm gonna meet my maker. I had to revisit those emotions yet again. So it wasn't an easy book for me. At some point, I actually even hit like a writer's block, like a writer's block, and I went to Cape Town for some time, and I remember walking along the ocean, and I wept. I wept, sat on the beach, and I just cried my eyes out. And I remember feeling like, shucks, this is hard. You know what I mean? Like dealing with so much pain, having to deal with the trauma itself, having to deal with the healing journey itself, having to deal with where I now want to go because of my newfounded purpose of that, and having to deal with the fact that I'd never found myself beautiful, and now having to come face to face with my face. I mean, I would never look at myself in the mirror, never. I was that person that like I would barely look at myself in the mirror. I was just like, no, like you're just too scary, because obviously of those wounds that were still within me, you know. Yeah. So whilst I was still busy, like with that, journey, then Sibusiso then invited me to be his project manager for his foundation called Slave. At the time, the Sibusiso Liobe Education Foundation, and I became his project manager for his foundation, and we were traveling across schools motivating young boys and girls. So I mean, like, this was like Sibusiso's job, and whoever who like wanted to do it, right? So this one time we were at some school, so now I'm like, ah no, it's the usual. They are gonna share like their stories, and then we're gonna bounce, right? dumbfounded me. That day, everybody else talks and like motivates the young kids, you know. And then Susiso talks. Then after Susiso talks, then he says, "Oh, great, guys, you know, I'd like to interview. I'd like to introduce you to my next speaker." So and I'm like looking around. I'm just like, "Oh no, like who's around? Like who's coming? You know?" And then he says, "My project manager." And I'm like, "What, me?" No, it's like I've never shared my story like that. I've never motivated anybody. Like, come on, like I need motivation myself. Now I need to come and motivate people. No. Um, and then he started ranting, "Do me, do me, do me, do me," and now the whole school like started ranting my name, "Do me, do me, do me, do me." So now like the pressure, right? And then I eventually step forward, and then I start sharing my story. And I remember I was like, "Hey guys, so this is who I am," like with like such an emotional voice. Remember, this was my very first time giving any type of talk in front of people, right? And now I was sharing my story. You know, I got burned from a candle, blah blah blah. And before I even finished that sentence, like my emotions just like caught up in my voice, and I started crying. And as I was sharing my story in tears, you know, at some point I actually stopped because it was just so emotional for me, and they still kept on, "Do me, do me, do me, do me," and I finished my story, and I got a standing ovation that day. You know, like Susie, so I was like, "Yeah!" And the entire school, like, they just went crazy, and they were like, "Yeah!" And I was just in tears, like, but it wasn't like the nice tears. It was like the snotty tears, like, oh, like, oh my god, like it was that like ugly cry, you know, like that one, like, oh my god, you know, it was terrible, and yeah, you know, and then he was like, "Well done, like you did such a great job," and then he did that now, you know, for the next schools that we were doing, and the more I cried, the more I got my healing. So the more I told my story, it's so weird, right? The more I told my story, the more I was getting healed from it, and the more I was now starting to be okay with telling my story. And as I was telling my story and healing, that's how I finished my book. And the book, I remember, was the final stamp of my healing, because of now I went through this roller coaster ride of having to go through those emotions again, like I was saying to you guys. And now I was now doing speaking, and I was writing my book. So I had to come face to face with my internal scars. You know, I had to come like face to face with them. Like I had to deal with them. I had to face them, and I had to challenge them. And it's only when I finished my book when I realized, sure, that was a long, tedious process that I had to go through for me to get to where I am. And I remember finishing my book, and I was like, you know what? I actually want to continue motivating young people at schools, you know. And then I wrote Dove Unilever an email, and then I said to them, "Hey, you guys, I'm using your soap, you know, so I'd like to be your brand ambassador, and have like a self-esteem project." And then they responded, and then they said, "Yes, we're actually having like a self-esteem project." So I was like, "Oh, perfect, you know, it goes hand in hand, oh my god, you know, like thank you god." You know, um and then we started that project, and we were motivating young boys and girls around schools. And that was when I realized that as much as my scars are external, every single person has a scar within them. And the scar within them is a reflection of their own wounds. You know, exactly what I went through, like that entire tedious process of healing. And and I think the reason why a lot of us don't like dealing with our wounds and our scars is because it's so painful. Like I was saying, like I was always in tears. You know, I was in tears just like facing my scars. Like it was such a terrible thing. Like for me, it was just like, oh, do I have to go through this? You know. Anyway, I realized I don't show my book. I have it here actually. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so that's my book. And it's titled "What Do You See?" And the title actually, my friend Dumelo Sekhu came up with it, um, and and she said to me that, you know, friend, I was praying, and then God gave me this title for your book, and immediately when she said it to me, like my spirit immediately picked it up and said, yes, this is it, this is it. And the reason why it was so beautiful for me because it says what do you see, you know, what do you see when you see me, because what you see me is actually within you. And I realized, and I actually learned that in psychology as well. You know, psychology at varsity was one of my majors, and I learned that what you see in the next person lies within you. And that's when I had to learn to see greatness. That was when I had to see beauty. That was when I had to learn to see power, to see this woman who has come out of the fire, literally, and has now and now has beautiful ashes. You know what I mean? That was when I had to learn to find my own identity in Christ Jesus. And when I did that, when I found my identity, it was then when I found this powerhouse who is here to say, you know what? No matter what we've been through, we can heal from it, we can find ourselves, and we can live and we can reach our full potential. I mean, I have one hand and one finger. My face is still scarred. Nothing has changed. From that time when I was feeling like, oh, you're a ghost, you should die, why are you here? None of that has changed except for my mindset. Because now my mindset says, excuse me, do you know your worth? Do you know how great and how powerful you are? Do you know that people want to hear your story and want to learn from it? Because, again, because of those internal scars that I was talking about, because of those internal wounds. And now here's the thing about a scar and pain, right? No matter what caused the pain, pain is pain. So your pain will recognize my pain because we all went through pain. And therefore, we all went through that anger, we all went through that rage, we all went through that, why am I here? You know, and some of us maybe went through much bigger pain than others. Maybe some people went through pain of loss, and now like you just feel like, how am I even gonna survive without this person? Can you link up the two? I don't want to be here because I'm burned. Can you link up the two? It's still pain. Irrespective, no, irrespective is not a word. You do. Regardless of what caused the pain, pain is still pain, you know, and that is what makes pain relatable. And I think I would like to share my pain to say, I have been able to heal. I have been able to go through a journey, of healing. I think my healing journey was was around 4 to 5 years. So it wasn't something that just happened. It it was a long, tedious process. I read books. I read the Bible. I praised God. I worshipped. I wrote my book, like I said. I worked in the media. I faced my own face. I had to look at myself in the mirror all the time and say, hey, Itumeleng, you are beautiful. Itumeleng, I said, honey, you are beautiful. All right, you are gorgeous. You are amazing. You are powerful, darling. All right, you are a powerhouse. Okay, I had to keep on saying that to myself every single day. You are smart. You are like everybody wants to know you. Okay, you are, hey, hey, like you are, hey, like you are everything great and more. You know what I mean? Yeah, and doing that every single day, actually, funny enough, that was one of the things that made me love myself. Affirmations. Affirmations by far made me love myself to a point where I had never loved myself ever. So yeah, so that is my journey of depression. um I'm now an entrepreneur. I make my own candles with my one hand and one finger. um I make diffusers now with my one hand and my one finger. I have a wine brand. I am just living my life. I have a foundation, you know, the Dumeling Siku Foundation, where we are just doing amazing things with that foundation. We are in schools with it. We are motivating young people. We are helping people with self-esteem, with bullying, with you know, yeah, with like a lot of things that people are going through, you know, like suicide, suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts. Like there's just so much that our foundation is doing, and it's because of that, because of I found my healing. So just imagine if you go through the healing process as well. To those that are wounded, imagine if every single person goes through a healing journey and we all come out on top. And I think we all need to realize that nobody's alone. When I was going through the healing journey, I was not alone. You know, I had my mom, I had Susiso, who was the first in mostly everything, you know, like my motivational speaking, my book, you know what I mean? Like so many other things that he has like helped me with. And he would, another thing as well that I loved about Susiso that I just want to mention is that Susiso, there's not even once where he felt sorry for me. Or maybe even if he did, he didn't show it. He would be like, where's my script? Where's this? Where's that? Like, where's it? Why are you not doing your work well? Da da da. You know, and he just has this just do it mindset that it sort of like got to me, and it was like, no, but you can't do this, so why are you not doing this, you know? And that was also another thing as well that taught me that, hey, actually, girl, please, all right, you're here to reach your full potential, darling. You're here to rock the world, honey. You are here, okay, to show the world what you're made of, honey. All right, you are here to not have excuses. You are here to conquer the world, honey, okay, with no excuses. So stop this pity party of yours. There's nothing wrong with you, okay? You're as normal as everybody else. So please, okay, rock the world. Do things that needs to be done, honey, okay? And when I said that and I believed it to myself, I started reaching my full potential every single day. So I'd like to encourage somebody here today and say, no matter what you've been through, I know what depression looks and feels like. I know that it can be healed. I know that it is a journey and it's tough and it's not always easy, but I know that through that healing journey, and the thing is with healing journeys, it's so sensitive because it's not the same for everybody. Just because I went through a healing journey in a specific manner doesn't mean that you also need to follow my path. No, it just means that find what works for you. You know what I'm saying? If you love reading books, read more books. Read more books that will heal you rather than just books that will just make you feel good for a second. If you love music, listen to music that will heal you rather than music that will just make you feel good for a second. So now anything that you do, you know what I mean? Do it with purpose. And I think when I did that for myself, I got to where I am. So yeah, so that's my own personal testimony of depression and how I got healed from it. So I really do hope that this was inspiring for you guys, and that it has helped, even if it means it has helped one person, you know. Yeah, so please do subscribe because I'm going to be doing more videos like this. Please do subscribe. Please comment down below. Please also comment on what you would like me to talk about more. I'm also going to leave a link to my Take a Lot link, so for my book. So for those that would like to purchase my book on Take a Lot, can do so. If it's sold out, please DM me on my Instagram, and then we can pre-order for the next batch that is coming through. And then if you are outside of South Africa, please also DM me on my Instagram, and then we can courier the book to you. So I'm really excited to be sharing my personal journey. I've actually never shared this in details the way that I have. So yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe, and please comment down below. See you next time. Toodles.